Good morning. It's Tuesday, January 4th, and in 2 days it will be the first anniversary, the January 6th, which I will call insurrection, in spite of the fact that we have so many people in this country that still believe that Trump won the election. In any event, I found an intelligence report that indicated that Vladimir Putin and Russia did attempt to help President Trump win the 2020 election. But they didn't do it using any election fraud. They did it using other means. The document went to great lengths to indicate that there was no election fraud. There was no altering of votes. What Putin had the Russians do is influence operate. They denigrated President Biden's visions and experience and personality. In general, they denigrated his candidacy, and they denigrated the Democratic Party. And of course, they had views that undermined the public confidence in the electoral process. They took advantage of the socio-political divisions in the U.S. And we can see those divisions every day in our lives. And we see that those divisions are part of the reasons why we have so many states changing their election laws. This nation has many populations in this country that do not want certain minorities to vote. This nation is historically tied to the color white. The document that contains the facts that I am alluding to is called Foreign Threats to the 2020 U.S. Federal Elections. And it was a document that was declassified in March. But for some reason it didn't come really to light until recently. This document has 5 key judgments. And in Judgment 2 it states that Russian actors were undermining the public confidence in the electoral process. And they were exacerbating socio-political divisions in the U.S., which we all know exist. We can't get around that. It said that we have high confidence in our assessment. Russian state and proxy actors who serve at the Kremlin's interests, right, were trying to affect the public perception in a consistent manner. A key element of Moscow's strategy in this election cycle was its use of proxies linked to the Russian intelligence. They continued to create misleading or unsubstantiated allegations against Biden using the U.S. media, U.S. officials, and prominent U.S. individuals, including some that were close to President Trump and his administration. So it was an all-out effort by the Russians to make sure that President Trump was reelected. And so, if I'm Biden and I'm talking to Putin in a couple of days, right, then I want to be very careful. I want to make sure that there's no misunderstandings. I don't want to give Putin and his team anything that they could throw out there that might help Trump be resurrected in 2024. That would be a disaster. I don't know what shape this country is going to be in 2024. Certainly it's not going to be in good shape based upon what's happening in this country right now. So I would caution President Biden when he talks to President Putin that they make no statements that can be misinterpreted. And it's obvious, based upon what we see around going on the borders of the Ukraine with the 100,000 troops that are lined up there, that they haven't moved any of those troops off the line. So it's critical that Biden talks straight to Putin and that there's no misunderstanding of what he says to Putin. And he can't allow Putin to have any inkling that he can use some of this information to help Trump regain power in the 2024 election. And this article, this document, also went on to say that they couldn't find anything relating to China during the 2020 election. This article did not find, or said it did not find, any China interference in the 2020 elections. It actually gave China a pretty clean bill of health there. It actually said that China looked at this thing and said it saw no reasonable reason to meddle in the outcome of the 2020 election. It said that China didn't feel there was any need to take advantage of anything. They felt that it was not to their advantage to meddle or to get caught meddling. That would not have been good for the U.S.-China relations. So the information provided in this report is directly in opposition to what Donald Trump claimed. Trump offered no evidence, but claimed that China was making the major push to support Biden. He wasn't claiming that that China was going to support him. He was claiming that China was going to support Biden. But the report says China did not deploy any influence efforts intending to help Joe Biden. This intelligence report also mentions Iran's leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who authorized an influence campaign to harm Trump, but the operations did not suggest it had any significant impact. They assessed that Iran primarily used some cyber tools and methods to conduct its covert operations. They were low cost, very low scale, and did not depend on physical access in the United States. In other words, it was a shitty third world attempt at bad-mouthing Trump. So it had no real effect on the campaign. But the report said clearly that there was no fraud. There was no physical fraud at all in this 2020 election. So I'm hoping that this report gets more news, so it gets out there in the public domain, and maybe it can change the minds of many in this country who believed that there was fraud and continued to believe that there was fraud. And as long as Trump has a base like that, he is liable to rear his ugly head in 2024. Biden has to be careful what he says in this meeting with Putin, because Putin could turn some of the things he says into something that would be used against Biden in the next major election. Perhaps Biden should stick strictly to the Ukrainian situation right now and not get sidetracked by anything else. That's all I have to say this morning. Have a great day. Bye.